Hey everyone, this is Bola Shokunbi. I'm the founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance, and welcome to Clever Girl Finance TV. So let's talk about generational wealth. You may have heard the term generational wealth before and thought to yourself, well, that sounds interesting. However, you have more pressing issues like getting out of debt, saving money, or pursuing other financial goals. But I want to encourage you to revisit this topic and the idea of building generational wealth because this is something that is really, really important. And you want to keep in mind that building generational wealth is a long-term effort. So what is generational wealth? It's basically wealth that's passed down from one generation to the other, and you may have also heard of it being called family wealth or legacy wealth. And generational wealth is extremely important because this is how you can build a legacy, it's how you can positively impact your community, and it's also how you can set your children up for financial success at the same time teaching them financial responsibility. And for me, as a Black woman, as a woman of color, generational wealth is something that's really important to me. I want to see my children succeed. I want to see my community succeed. I want to see more Black and brown people like me succeed and leave legacies for their generations. And so it's something that I'm prioritizing. And as you think about it, right, you're probably like, well, that sounds like a lot to do. I'm still trying to figure out my debt. But keep in mind that you're here watching this for a reason, because you want to get ahead of your debt, because you want to get on top of your savings and your investments. And if you keep it as a long-term thing, you put generational wealth building on your long-term horizon, you have it as one of your goals, and it is entirely possible. So I'm going to talk about some key steps in which you can actually start to lay the foundation to build generational wealth. So one of the first steps to building generational wealth is investing. And one way you can invest is in the stock market. And this is getting really clear on your long-term goals and objectives, understanding your risk tolerance, understanding how investing works, and also making sure that you have a well-diversified portfolio. And you're probably already investing if you have an employer-sponsored account, an IRA, or a Roth IRA. These are all investments that you're making towards your retirement over the long term. However, these are assets that you're building that you could also transition from a generational perspective. Another way to invest is by investing in real estate. And with real estate, you can create positive cash flow, you can build equity over time, and eventually you own the land and the property as an asset that you can transition generationally as well. So a really basic example is the home that you live in now. While that home is not generating cash flow because you live in it and you're paying a mortgage, you're actually paying down your mortgage over time and hopefully building equity over time to the point where you own this property outright, and then you can pass it down to your children. Another way that you can build generational wealth is by building a business that you can pass down to the next generation. And this is a great way to transition generational wealth because about 30% of family-owned business actually transition to the second generation. Another way to transition generational wealth is by taking advantage of life insurance. This protects your family in the event of your passing, and it provides them with the financial capability to cover the expenses that were dependent on your income and more depending on the type of policy that you have in place. For many, life insurance is one of the key ways in which they transition this wealth because they're able to leverage that life insurance to pass down a lump sum of money to their children. However, it's very important to keep in mind that when you're transitioning large amounts of money, you want to teach your children as they get older financial responsibility and what it means to manage money well, so that when they get this money, they know how to manage it properly and they can continue passing down the generational wealth to their own children as well. And that leads me to another way of creating and transitioning generational wealth, and that is by investing in your child's education. It's about teaching them financial responsibility, and if you are able to, if you have your own finances in check, helping them to minimize costs with college debt so that they can get ahead in life when they get into the workforce by starting to save and invest as early as possible. So investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, building business, taking advantage of life insurance, investing in your child's education, these are all some of the key ways in which you can create generational wealth. But once you've created this wealth, how do you go about transitioning it to the next generation the right way? Well, for one thing, you want to make sure that you have a will in place that highlights your exact wishes about how you want your assets to be distributed. And this is not about having millions of dollars in the bank. This is about basically laying out the plan for what you have now and what you build into the future so that you can make sure that these assets are designated to your family members exactly how you would want them to be. Another way to pass down wealth is through custodial accounts and trusts. And this basically determines when your children will get control of these assets. You also want to make sure that you name your beneficiaries on your assets and your accounts that you have right now, and also on any assets that you acquire into the future or any accounts that you open that are tied to assets as well. So all of these things, having a will, having custodial accounts and trusts, naming your beneficiaries, these are all things that can be built into an estate plan. And an estate plan is basically what allows you to plan to transition your assets. And you can talk to an estate planning attorney when you are ready to help you establish this plan. So this is essentially how you create generational wealth and how you can also create a plan to pass it down. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, please stop by clevergirlfinance.com, check out all of our awesome content and free courses, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at clevergirlfinance, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tell all your best girlfriends about Clever Girl Finance as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video.